2 months back, we were sitting in my office and he asked me, "Will you come for this?" And I said, "What will be a better occasion?"
How are you, sir? How are you?
To pay homage to the greatest son India has produced in his own land where he lived. And then I decided on a topic, because new research which is coming up, new documentation which is coming up, and I'm very ashamed that our history books and our so-called great historians in this country after 47 mentioning not is one aspect, but suppressing the history, suppressing the truth, suppressing the facts, and then covered by ideological instances, putting up distorted history. I shamed my own profession. I was going through the files in National Archives, and each file has the name of who has seen that file. And I was stunned to see that none of these files have been seen either by these historians or by these politicians who jump every 2 minutes to demolish Netaji and Netaji's legacy without understanding him, without knowing what he was, what he stood for. And I want to make it very clear that Netaji only had one ideology, and that was freedom of the motherland. Nothing else mattered to him. How that is to be achieved, what methods to be adopted, I'll be coming to that a little later. And let me say one thing. How many history books in this country today mention that Azad Hind Sarkar was the only Sarkar in the world, a first government of United India, which never surrendered before the Allied forces, before the Allied powers. The only government in the world where the Allied forces had conquered the whole world. It was the only army which never surrendered before the Allied forces. Some individuals and cases later on, maybe. And remember here, to all the senior officers of Azad Hind government and Azad Hind Fauj, Netaji's instructions were, go underground. The last orders say, we are disbanding to meet again. It is not surrender. And this meeting again had a message in itself. Some people argued when we last year celebrated at Red Fort the 75th year, and the PM was there. And again the distorted mind started saying, oh no, governments were formed earlier also, this also. I said, yes, they were formed. Raja Mahendra Pratap Singh, we have tremendous respect, he formed. But tell me, any earlier government of independent India formed which operated from Indian soil and which had all the components of a government, right from a bank to an INA Civil Services Training Institute, to an army, to hospitals, to foreign department, to every department. Name me a single such government which was formed before that. And name me a single government which unfurled the flag of independent India on the Indian soil, whether it was Andamans and Nicobar, or whether it was Moirang, or whether it was some places in Bhana. Name me a single government. Then they say he had become a fascist and all all kind of Tojo's dog and all, whatever was said about him. 1 year Andamans was under the Japanese. And taking it back from the Japanese, that land belongs to India, and we have the Azadin Sarkar, and this has to be given to us. It is our land, it is our territory. People forget that. And those who talk of his fascism, I asked a question. Last year, no, this year only, 23rd January, Telegraph had interviewed me. And I put a question in that. I said, when Soviet Union signed a pact with Hitler, non-aggression pact in 1938, then was Hitler not a fascist? Was there no fascism in Germany? But just because Soviet Union has signed a pact with Hitler, so it's fine for the communist world over. What was the Second World War for them? Till the time Soviet Union is attacked by Germany, they call it an imperialist war. And suddenly it becomes a people's war. So liberation of India, if someone is fighting for liberation of India, someone is collaborating for liberation of India, for that is not a war for Indian independence. But if Soviet Union is attacked by Germany, then it is a people's war for you in India. And then what were you doing? You accuse him. Why did you support the British in 42? Why did you support the British war effort? Netaji was taking a support at least of those countries who had not exploited India, who had not looted India, who had not ruled over India, who had not exploited India. But here you are supporting the British, who had exploited India and looted India and robbed India during the Second World War. And you dare to put your eyes on Netaji and comment on him. Very interesting things have come out. Master Tara Singh wrote in Sant Yogi, a magazine which he carried from Punjab, in January 46. And he says that when he had met Netaji at Elgin Road in 1940, they discussed taking this support from outside countries. Lots of risks was involved, which were pointed out. And then he said, Netaji said, if the results will be in our favor, it's worth taking these risks. Netaji was consistently asking Congress to launch a movement, take advantage of the Second World War in India's favor. We had the experience behind us of the First World War. For all support to the British, what India had got? India had got Jallianwala and India had got the road attacks. Then all those supporting the British, they are not anti-nationals. They are great. Why don't I call them imperialists? All who supported the British in the Second World War, forgetting India's freedom struggle. They are also imperialists. They have nothing to do with India in that sense. I saw a report in archives of 1929, just before the Lahore session, in which, and I must say hats off to this CID, must be a sub-inspector or something, who wrote that report about Netaji's writing. He is the man to be watched. He can go for armed assistance from foreign countries to liberate India. And this is 1929. Why are the British afraid of this man? Let us not forget his resignation letter from the ICS and what he wrote in that. He made up his mind clear why he is resigning. What is his aim? And as shrewd and clever the British were, they knew that if a young man like this can leave this service to serve his motherland, what a dangerous man he would be for the British. When he sent to Mandalay, how old he is, about 26 at that time. The Chief Commissioner of Prisons of England, when he visits Mandalay, he describes Bose among the 8 most dangerous persons in India. And then we have a long history. You all know much better than me because they are very serious and many people who have been working on these for long years. That they never wanted to keep him in India. They wanted him out of India, or if in India, they wanted him behind the bars. Show me a single leader of the freedom struggle about whom this kind of a psyche the British had to deal with. Only Lajpat Rai and Tilak were sent to Mandalay. Show me a single leader of the Congress who was ever sent to Andamans or any other place, or exiled like this from the country, or denied entry back into the country. When Netaji is wanting to come back, when his father is not well, and again, when he comes back, they are warning him that if you land in India, we'll arrest you. You will not be a free man. Name me a single other leader in the freedom struggle like this. The only thing which figures will be Sadan, whom again they disown for different reasons altogether. I don't want to go into the details of his disappearance. We all know well. And that's why I ended the museum by saying that he disappeared on 18th August. Today, just now, before coming here, I did a post on Twitter. I said if Nehru was so sure about the plane crash and his death, then the 2 boxes of that burned jewelry and remains of the plane which had come and which was secretly kept at his home for 1 month, he should have been too happy to display it to the people. Okay, look, here is the proof of the plane crash and of the death and all. And instead what he wrote on it, not to be displayed, and they were put into the walls of National Museum. They're lying even today over here. So it was very easy that any chemical examination of that burnt jewelry and the items which were there could have proved that whether they were burnt in the plane crash, or whether someone burnt it by putting acid, or whether someone burnt it by putting petrol, and that would have solved the mystery therein then of this plane crash theory. And they were not fools. They didn't know this aspect. And more ashamed today I am. I didn't want to mention it, but I think I have to mention it. I have tremendous respect for the Netaji family. The contributions of that family, first generation. But a few among the third generation in this family are today shaming their own ancestors by advocating the plane crash theory. I feel very sad at that. And the irony is, I'll tell you, one of them, from a foreign country, sent me a WhatsApp message. How can you put in the museum that he died in the plane crash? And I was aghast because until that time I had not even reached making that panel for the museum. So I said, who is this rumor mongering? And my panel will be only he disappeared. Who he said, then it's fine. And today that member of the Netaji family is ringing people of INA families. Please issue statements that he died in the plane crash. There was a Kabul thesis of Netaji. Something very important. When I put that thing, this Kabul thesis is a letter which he left just before leaving Kabul. But Kutroni could not send it to India to his friends and handed it over to Sir Bose in 1948 in Paris. And a very important thing in that letter, there are about 25-26 points, because the whole theory at that time is that we will be attacking from the side of Afghanistan with the help of Soviet Union. Remember, Netaji wanted to go to Soviet Union, he didn't want to go to Germany. And then in that letter it says, identify those places where small planes can land, identify where we can put up radio stations. It goes on like that. And a very important thing in that letter is the new recruitment which the British are doing for their army. Send our trusted youth into the British army so that they can work for us, and when the time comes, they can join us. I wrote that. And I linked it with Savarkar's recruitment for British Army. Because I have now 2 letters with me from INA soldiers, intercepted letters, where they are saying that we had joined the British Army on Savarkar's instructions, and as per his orders, when the moment came, we crossed over to INA. There was a meeting of Savarkar and Netaji in Ratnagiri in February 40. No one knows what happened in that meeting. But please understand one thing. These were revolutionary minds working. And using the Indians working in British Army was something not new in the Indian freedom struggle. Look at 1857. It's a pre-planned. 5 years planning for 1857. The alliance between different people. And it's the soldiers in the British Indian Army, East India Company at that time, who came out and fought. Don't forget 1915, when the Ghadar party, Ras Bihari was prominently ruled Punjab at that time, organizing the Ghadar party. 18 cantonments they went to, and they were to revolt the Indian soldiers when it leaked out and it came out of the Lahore conspiracy case. And don't forget that in Singapore, 5 days Singapore was under the siege of the Indian soldiers of 5th Infantry, which revolted over there in September 2015. So using the Indian Army and using our own people was not something new. And if the revolutionaries planned it, they are not going to tell the jokers or write in letters that we are going to do this, we are going to do this. This is my answer to those who will run away at the first sound of the bullet, but who keep attacking Netaji and who keep attacking Savarkar and who keep attacking the revolutionary heroes in history. This is my answer to those people. Read history. Because today Google Baba has made everyone a historian. So everyone can comment, everyone can write, everyone is a historian going into these kind of things. Now let me come to the main part which I thought of, 45-47. The impact of INA Netaji and the Azad in Sarkar of India, because that is something very, very crucial to understand our whole partition also. November 45, I don't have to go into the details, you know better than me that what happened in Calcutta. The entire students' support and the firings by the British. In the military intelligence reports of Eastern Command, which hardly these people, no one has looked into that, I find a very interesting incident that on the Gurpurab day in November 15, 1945, the Gurpurab is held in the Calcutta's biggest Gurdwara, where 30,000 people are present. And in the park outside that Gurdwara, they have kept the Guru Granth Sahib. And along with the Guru Granth Sahib is the photograph of Netaji. Qurbani is being great, and And the songs of INA are being played there, sung there, and Sharad Bose addresses that meeting. And the military intelligence person is writing that I am amazed. I have never seen the Sikhs placing another photograph along with the Guru Granth Sahib. And when these strikes and all are there, they are very interesting revelations in this. The secretary of the Muslim League in Kolkata, I believe there is some Islamia college in Kolkata, and the students of that college participated against the INA trials. And the secretary goes to that college, scolds the students not to participate. And then he says, how can we support INA? If INA had come to India, where would have been our Pakistan demands? And the secretary, on the same instances, the secretary of Hindu Mahasabha is saying, don't touch even the finger of our INA people. Many of them had joined INA because of Savarkar, and if you touch them, there will be bloodbath in the country. How many of us know that every fortnight the British intelligence was seeking reports from all, not its army active units, but from the depots, from the supply centers, that what is the thinking among the Indian soldiers in the British army? And what you find in these reports, that in many places, the British Indian Army soldiers are addressing their British officers as Jai Hind and they are court-martialed. One of the last reports says that every Indian officer worth his salt is a nationalist today. Though he may have joined the British Army or he is taking money from us as salaries. And not just this. You look at the intercepted letters of those who are in the prison camps, the letters they are writing home. I have not come across a single letter, I have seen hundreds of them, where any soldier of INA has repented that he did something wrong by joining the INA. On the contrary, they are saying that the moment the situation arises again, we will again be there to do everything for our motherland. This is what Netaji wants. There are interesting cases. A captain of INA is imprisoned in Lucknow jail. His father is a colonel in Karachi, in the British Army. The father comes to him. You give a letter of apology and I'll get you out from the prison. The son refuses. The father threatens, I'll disown you and you will not get any property. He said, do whatever you want. The father goes back to Karachi, sends the younger brother to try to influence, put some sense in your elder brother. Now what conspired between the two brothers is not available. But what is available is that when this younger brother went back to Karachi, all the property of the family which was his name, he donated it to the Congress office and joined the Congress. There's a meeting between Sardar Patel and another Gujarati INA soldier who goes to Sardar Patel and demands, give me work to do. I want to do nationalist work. And Sardar Patel says, first you go and meet your family, you go meet your relatives, then you come to me. He says, no. Netaji has instructed, if we fail, the struggle must continue. Go and support Gandhi. And this is Netaji's thinking in spite of all that what Gandhi has done to him. Which again proves one more thing, that if he can take Hitler's support or Mussolini's support for the liberation of India, but if after him Gandhi has to keep the struggle again for India, he is for Gandhi's support to give support to Gandhi for the struggle. It again proves that point. And this, I'm just quoting two instances. There are many such instances. How many of us know that Azad Hind Sangh was formed again in November 1945 in Kanpur? Vishwambar Dayal Pandey. The Rani Jhansi regiment started again in BHU campus. 12 girls join it. And with different names this is coming up now. Somewhere is it Netaji Vahini, somewhere it is Netaji Sena, somewhere it is Congress Volunteer, somewhere it is Congress Sena. Where the ex-INA are going in uniform and delivering speeches, training them, and youth are joining. Somewhere 400 are joining, somewhere 300 are joining, somewhere 50 are joining. When you put these threads together, they show you a pattern. And the pattern is very simple. Then when Netaji was saying that we are disbanding and we are going to meet again, this meant that certain plan and certain strategy had been formulated. Those who went back to India were to play that role in India, and those whom he asked to go underground were to remain underground and do that aspect. Like Satyadev Sinha, particularly his intelligence wing. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this. In fact, I did a small video in that few months back and I put it on Facebook also. That when Nehru dashes in March to Singapore, and the reason given is he has to go and help the INA personnel in Malaya, in Singapore. And whereas Mountbatten himself, while writing the foreword of Vijay Lakshmi Pandit's book, has stated that I advised him not to go to the memorial of INA, to which he agreed. And from here started the friendship between me, him and Advena. When I put this in the social media, I don't know, one gentleman from Calcutta abused me like anything. And since it's public, I don't have any hesitation in naming him. I don't know why, as far as I remember, someone named Sumuru Chaudhary or something, some ex-bureaucrat. Abused me like anything. So did Madhuri Bose had done when I put the Kabul thesis, when she said you are creating fake documents and fake history and all. And I told these people, I said my survival in the discipline of history in the last 43 years of my teaching has been only for one reason. That what I say is based on evidence and no historian has been able to cut my evidence. They may disagree with my interpretation. And I tell these people one thing now. You can suppress history. You can distort history. You can interpret history as per your wishes. But you can't kill the facts of history. And history speaks. And when history speaks loud. And I'm too happy today that the history speaking of this country and the Indian history speaking loud today that what Indian history is. At a crucial time in April, when legislative assembly elections are to be held, and mind it, 46 April elections are very crucial elections. I don't have to repeat that. And suddenly this man makes a dash to Singapore. And there in that room, one is this memorial thing. Subhash said, no, people there say he went quietly to the museum. I said, I don't believe the people. I believe the official, authentic account of Mountbatten he has written. And none of you denied. And it was published in this Vijay Lakshmi Pandit's book. If that had not been correct, Nehru would not have allowed that to be published in that book. That book was published in 50s. Maybe he had not read that book. And there, some other interesting things also happen. He is gifted with 5 kg worth of gold is given to him of the Indian Independence League. And he opens a personal account in the Indian Overseas Bank in which that gold is deposited. Plea given is that this will be for the welfare of Indians in Malaysia. But what happened to that 5 kg gold, no one knows till. This is the first treasure which came out of INA. Think. I have identified 6 treasures. People only talk of 1 or 2. The second is Azad Hind Bank, Rangoon. I have been able to dug out that document signed by Dinanath, the director of the bank, that the day that bank was sealed, what all was there in that bank. So much which currency, so much which currency. Where did that money go? No one knows. There is a third. The British seize, and total comes to about 45 kg of gold. All items are listed. This file is in Singapore archives. So many bangles, so many earrings, necklaces, all that is listed in that. It comes to about 40-45 kg. And the British asked the Indian government what is to be done with it. And Nehru writes to them, get it deposited in my personal account in Overseas Bank. The British refused that. And the last voting on that file is of 1952, which says, now the Indian Prime Minister is saying that it should be equally divided between India and Pakistan. We told him that we will approach Pakistan, and he said, no, you don't approach Pakistan, I will approach Pakistan, so we can't do anything in this matter unless this issue is settled. That is the last line on that file. What happened to that 45 kg of gold? No one knows. Now forget the other treasure of Ramurthy, which Ramurthy was looting, which has come out in these declassified files, that constantly our mission in Japan is writing to Prime Minister. Ramurthy and the other one, they are looting this INA money, do something. And our Prime Minister ignores that. And of course, then there are these 2 boxes which I have mentioned. It's very interesting. You see, Shah Nawaz Khan did 2 things very honestly in his report. First part, he very honestly remained loyal to Nehru by getting it declared that yes, it was a plane crash. Whereas prior to that, when Shah Nawaz Khan is moving around, even during the elections and all after his release, nowhere he is accepting and saying that this plane crash death has taken place. And then, the other thing he has done very honestly, and that is very good. He has devoted about 5-6 pages on the INA treasure. And he says that is not in purview of my commission, so another inquiry should be put up for that. And that is very interesting. If you read those pages, it starts with 8 steel boxes from Bangkok. The boxes are converted into wooden boxes in Saigon. Only 2 then. Where did the 6 go? Then the plane says that whatever was left remains of the plane, they were put in an army canister. And when it reaches Tokyo, that army canister again becomes 2 wooden boxes. And which it reaches Sahai's residence. From Sahai's residence, it becomes 2 suitcases. And the person who brings those suitcases runs away, is not known in Hong Kong for a while. And then why they land up straight at the residence of Nehru and kept there for a month. So these are the stories related to them. But what the crucial thing here is, 31st December 1945, Wavell, the Viceroy, writes a letter directly to the King. This is not even to the Prime Minister, this is not even to the Indian Secretary for Indian Affairs there. But it's straight away to the Prime Minister, King, where he says, we should compromise and reach some agreement, or else there might be an uprising more serious than 1942. And what is his assessment based on? The reporting which the Chief of the Armed Staff, British Armed Staff in India, what's his name? Auchinleck. He says that an 1857 type situation has emerged. If we have to stay in India, we will have to reconquer India like 1857, and for this I will need 1 lakh European soldiers. And there's a full file in the archives where this discussion goes on from where to get these 1 lakh soldiers and how they can be posted in India, because if they are directly sent to India, there will be more turmoil. And the way out suggested is, okay, that Indonesia, still the war is going on, so we can say that these soldiers are going via India, and India, they are just resting in India when they are to be stationed over there. Now what does these things indicate? They indicate very clearly that by 45, the British had made their mind very clear that they will be leaving India. The question was, who is to be given the power in both Pakistan and India? And naturally they will prefer British educated people with British mannerism and all, and for that both Jinnah and Nehru suited them very well. And I link this Nehru's dash to Singapore in March, April, to that effect, because they had decided that Mountbatten is going to be the next Viceroy of India, and they wanted a rapport to be established between Mountbatten and Nehru at that place. Which Mountbatten himself accepts, and this whole thing was arranged by that M5 agent you talked over there, which comes out of it. We have to look into these aspects. I did another thing. I was a scholar of mine. I wanted to see the popularity of Netaji in India at that time. And the best source to look at it was the newspaper reportings and what stories were coming in the newspaper and what was happening. And I selected UP for that, because UP was the citadel of Nehru. So we picked up Abhyuday, we picked up Aaj, we picked up Nayak, certain other Hindi newspapers, English newspapers. Abhyuday carried 3 special editions on INA Netaji within a period of 6 months, repeating all the valor, bravery, fights of INA and thinking of that. The kind of poetry which is there in those. We have published all those poems from my center in IGNOU, both Urdu and Hindi poems separately. And in 47, what we are finding, the kind of poetry, Subhash, kahan ho tum aao, ye baat rahe hain desh ko, is desh ko bachao. All hopes are pinned on that. He is the man who can save this country from doing that. And it is absolutely clear now that on the one hand, the INA soldiers who have been disbanded, or the whites or the greys. On the other hand, lakhs of Indian soldiers who have been disbanded by the Second World War, after the Second World War. And then the youth. There is a whole armed awakening coming up. The matter is to give a call. I'm remembered of a very interesting correspondence between Gandhi and Aruna Asaf Ali. Sumit Sarkar cited that, where Aruna Asaf Ali is writing to Gandhi to come and lead the movement against partition. And Gandhi, and she's saying, okay, look, Hindus and Muslims are fighting together, they have joined hands, there are railway strike going on, there is postal strike going on, there are peasant movements going on, INA trials. And Gandhi says, yes, they have joined hands together, but they have joined hands together on barricades. And Aruna Asaf Ali writes back that Hindus and Muslims can join hands together only on barricades. So partition again is a different story. But I want to emphasize here that Netaji and Azad and Fauj, they never negotiated on the table sitting in Shimla for transfer of power. They fought, they gave their lives, many martyred themselves. And please understand one thing, which is very crucial for the younger generation of today. Because when I see these Barbadi Walas and these Tukde gangs, what is INA and what is Netaji's support? The Pravasi Indians there in Southeast Asian countries? And the British Indian soldiers who crossed over to Ireland. And if you look at the instances, the two shepherds, Gwalas, coming with a cow to him and saying, we have nothing else, we give you this cow, this will march with the army. And we'll also march with the army and we'll make the army have the milk from this cow. And will you believe that these young boys had never seen India? They had never been to India. All they had heard about India were stories from their grandparents. This was the appeal of Netaji's nationalism. When a boy there says, I'm going to join the INA, and the father says, no, you can't. And this young boy of 18 years says, how long we'll remain slaves? The boy has not seen India. This is what nationalism meant. 50% of the women in Rani Jhansi regiment are the Tamil women who were there as indentured laborers. The Red Hill battle fought by indentured laborers recruited in INA as soldiers of iron. It's time that we bring these histories, we bring these realities in front of our younger generation. The suppression should end. And last sentence I'll say two things. One, show me a single leader in the world who could match Netaji's zeal and vigor and bravery, that in spite of his illness, this man comes out from Indian House and reaches Kabul, and Kabul to Berlin, and then from Germany for 3 months in the submarine to Japan. Show me a single leader of the Indian freedom struggle whose assassination orders were done by MI5 at the behest of Churchill, that if he takes the route from Istanbul or he goes via Cairo, he should be murdered there and killed there by the British spies and British agents. This was the fear of Netaji. They never gave assassination orders for Gandhi, who led the movements. They never gave assassination orders for Nehru. But they gave assassination orders for Netaji. Why? Were they crazy or were they mad? This is what people should know about Netaji, where Netaji stood for, what he was. And I'd like to say in the last, People will keep on debating about his death and this and that and what for political reason and other things. For me, Netaji can never die. He lives. He lives in our hearts. He lives in our minds. He lives here to inspire us. Thank you.